Hello, everyone. My name is Tania Fernandez, and I'm in charge of marketing and communication at the Madrid campus. Welcome to the ESCP webinar, Leadership Now, Part of the Solution or Part of the Problem, a dialogue between Lucifer, Gabriel, and you. A reminder to all the participants, you can actually have flexibility to enlarge your screen. If you see where the presentation is and the video is, you can actually put your mouse in the middle and just enlarge either the video or the presentation, depending on what you want to see more, either us or the presentation. Well, now I want to briefly introduce our two amazing speakers from today. First, Robert Griffiths, ESCP adjunct professor. Robert was a director at Citibank Corporate Bank in Europe for 17 years and left twice. Once to follow his childhood dream to cross Africa in a Land Rover and return to his natal Cape Town. A second time for good and to do what he loves doing, helping leaders and teams to stop, look, and learn. 18 years as a team coach, facilitator, and trainer for various multinational companies. He has a degree in literature and transpersonal psychology. He's a qualified yoga instructor and a father, not of one, neither two, but three Spanish millennials. On the other hand, Jack Pinter, he has spent more than 20 years creating and delivering interactive and experiential learning and development initiatives for clients in every sector across the world. Described by leadership guru Tom Cummings as the Swiss Army knife of leadership development. He enjoys an active career as a storyteller, musician, playwright, and composer, working in theater and television. Recent collaborations include work with Tim Robbins, Yoko Ono, and Katie Milua. Before you actually see them, let me set the scene a little. We live in uncertain times. Processes, behaviors, and approaches that have served us in the past do not longer predict the future success. Now it's time to experiment, to rethink, re-examine, and recreate. Instead of a typical seminar where an academic or famous leader describes how to lead in times of crisis, we're inviting you to join Robert and Jack on a journey of reflection in a slightly different way. You will be asked to reflect on the kind of leader you want to be and become in the 21st century. So we're looking forward to your virtual participation. Jack will play the part of Gabriel and Robert will play the part of Lucifer. Here, the 5 scenes that you, Lucifer and Gabriel, will participate in. As you will be participating to the Mentimeter tool, let me first explain how to use it. To do this, we'll do the first question together. Okay, so everyone get ready. If you're watching this from a desktop or a PC, open a separate window in your browser, or if you prefer, use a separate device like a mobile phone or a tablet and open a browser. There you're going to enter www.menti.com and enter the code that you see on the screen, 475378. You will then see the slide or question we're presenting. Answer the question as indicated. So start doing that now. And then press submit. It is very important to press the submit button. Otherwise, your contributions will neither reach heaven, hell, or even the purgatory. So we love to start seeing all of your questions. So start sending everything, and I want to wish you good luck. And if you have any doubts or questions for me, you can contact me via the question box. So enjoy the webinar and see you in a little bit.
Well, gentle earth dwellers, I am speaking to you from the heavens. Yes, I can see you all as you vote on Mentimeter. I can see you all in the distant corners of the globe. For I am Gabriel, the great archangel of leadership. I shall now appear before you. Behold, I am here. Now, if you want to see me in even my greater glory, you can, as Tanya instructed, enlarge me on your own screen, and I want to say a warm welcome from the clouds. It's the pleasure that you could join us for this interactive session, which, as you can see, is taking place in this virtual purgatory. As I said, I am the Archangel Gabriel, the leader of the heavenly hordes, at your service. I shall be inviting you, yes, inviting you to take delight in the pleasures of leadership heaven. I do regret to inform you that we will also be joined by an old colleague of mine. His domain is the dark depths, a place whose name I shall not speak out loud, but I can feel his presence taking form. I can feel him arriving, appearing before us.
Hello, friends. Hello, accomplices. It's just wonderful to be among so many devil worshippers. Now, much as I hate preaching to the converted, I'm delighted to see that so many of you prefer dressing up as the devil. After all, let's be honest, it's much more fun. So, yes, I'm Lucifer. As you can see, I'm the guy with the horns and the trident. No wings, no halos, I'm afraid. Those were taken away from me when I dared stand up to my boss. So rather than being up in the clouds like my friend Gabby here, I'm very much down to earth. As you all know, I preside over the true home of leadership, down below, here in the pit. My job is to stoke the fires of leadership hell, ignited by leaders, executives, and managers all over the world. And I am referring to you lot out there, lost in the darkness of cyberspace. I can't see you, but I know you're out there, and you can see me. And I know that deep down, part of you wants to be me. So you see, I'm here to remind you to think about all the wonderfully exciting and destructive actions that we as leaders take in organizations. All those things you really want to say or do to your boss and never do, and all those politically incorrect remarks you'd love to say to your team, but are too scared to.
Now, Lucifer, I saw from the first question that for all of you, that many of you would choose to go to a party dressed as Lucifer here. I do understand the lure of his devilish temptations, but I pray that when you walk through the hallowed hallway that leads to your office, you adopt a more angelic pose. For we know that when the devil wears Prada in the workplace, misery will be the only result. I now long to learn from you what makes leadership a divine influence on your world, and invite you to consider, yes, you, how you can be a part of the many solutions that only leadership can provide.
And all those thorny leadership problems that only leadership can create, and so often do.
I'm here to inspire you.
Wishful thinking, Gabs. I'm the real inspiration to most leaders. I'm here to provoke you to explore the regions between the yes man in leadership heaven and me, my own man, in leadership hell.
Enough of your pointless egotism, Mephisto. Let's ask the people where they stand.
Wow, what on earth for? Or should I say, why in heaven's name would you do that? After all, you supposedly worship the truth. And the real truth is that the vast majority of people are ignorant. They put their faith in leaders, allow them vast and sometimes unlimited powers, and do nothing to hold them accountable. Trust me, we get the leaders we deserve.
Lucifer, that's a great first question. Let us submit ourselves to the collective wisdom of our audience. Let us do a poll. Dear heavenly leaders, I beseech you to return to menti.com. Yes, and answer this question. What kind of leaders do you deserve? Now, God does love brevity, so I'm just asking you to write the first 2 to 3 words, and don't forget to press submit. Submit your answers. What kind of leaders do we deserve?
Well, I can see they're not very quick off the ball here, Gab. So, yeah, whilst these poor little angels are trying to come up with answers, let's you and I have a little sparring session. I see that you're encouraging people to vote. Don't you think that's pretty ironic?
Lucifer, you know we angels don't do irony. What do you mean?
Well, it's ironic. By inviting people to vote, they will be engaging in democracy. But in virtually every organization and business I've ever seen, there's no democracy whatsoever. Leaders are named and anointed, and usually by an elite club of the rich and powerful. How many of you out there, yes, you answering those questions, have you ever chosen your own boss?
Yes, they did also not choose their own God, and look what a glorious supreme being leads them and guides them.
Yeah, now there's an interesting statement by our friend who says he's a servant of God. How many gods do people worship on this planet? Yes, far more than you can count. That would suggest that you have a choice. So choose wisely.
Look, Lucifer, a heavenly cloud of treasured qualities is beginning to appear before our very own eyes. It's a miracle.
Oh, come on, look at this. People are just saying nice things. Why? Because they're leaders themselves. They're just giving themselves a pat on the back. They're clearly living in a fantasy world of fake news and self-congratulation. You know, this reminds me of a great little quote by my friend Nicky. You remember Nicky Machiavelli? Let me have it. In fact, I have it on, we're now on digital these days. But he had a great quote. How we live is so different from how we ought to live, that he who studies what ought to be done rather than what is done will learn the way to his downfall rather than to his preservation.
That's right. When you've got nothing left to say, you just quote Machiavelli. You just don't want to admit it, Lulu. Looks like I'm the winner here in round one.
Yeah, but look at these. They're inspiring me because they're either completely lying off their back teeth or they're learning from the Prince of Darkness. So here we are. Let's do something a little more interesting. We're going to start exploring our kingdoms a little further. All of us together. We're now going to be in the second scene. Heaven and hell. What are these leadership behaviors? So as we've seen, people were putting all these glorified little things about what the leaders they deserve. I'm going to start with a simple premise. Most people are fools. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, you can speak all you like of what you deserve. You can draw a veil over reality. But behind that veil, the beautiful, ugly truth remains the truth. So now, instead of talking about the leaders you deserve, we're going to talk about the leaders you actually get. So, you lovely little angels, join me, the great Prince of Darkness, where the action is. Wouldn't you like to design your own very circle of leadership, where things really get done? No talking shops, no endless meetings, but rather a place where things happen with a bang?
Oh, Lucifer, must we really?
Oh, stop whining, Gabby. Hold your halo for a minute. My question to all you suckers out there is, how do all these leaders succeed in being part of the problem for the organizations they're meant to serve?
I don't see how this is going to help anyone. We should focus on our higher natures.
Higher natures? What higher natures? All you angels out there, open your eyes, because on the next Mentimeter slide, you're going to see a little list, my favorite list of 10 leadership sins, the ones leaders love to commit, and the ones all you angels out there pretend you don't. So, just like the 10 commandments, there are 10 leadership sins. Now, I'm not telling you that leaders have to do these. I'm just reminding you that if you want to survive in life and get what you need and want, money, power, and the happiness they bring, then all these sins are absolutely essential. And yes, that is why so many leaders, and you, are so full of sin. Do you remember Eve? Yes, Adam and Eve. Eve didn't have to eat the apple, but she did. Why? Well, because it's delicious. And like a child, anything forbidden is just so exciting. So, which of these 10 leadership sins that I'm going to show you now have you most experienced and observed in others so far in your career? So as you can see, there are 10 of these beautiful, delicious leadership sins that happen, and I want you to pick as many as you like. How many of you absolutely or really observed in your career as managers, leaders, or as employees?
I'm afraid to look. I don't want to look. I'm going to hide behind my halo for a moment, Lucifer.
Oh, dear me. That's
There
right.
to look. I know that to err is human and to forgive is divine, so I must forgive people for being tempted by these sins.
That's right. Forgive and forget so that leaders can commit the same sins over and over again.
Ah, but many leaders learn from their previous sins.
Well, you bet they do. That's how they learn how to get away with them next time. Now look at this. Isn't this delicious? I was going to bet you that they had all of them listed up there, and sure enough they do. So I'm going to try and see in the next couple of seconds exactly which one comes out the best. Well, look at it. Look at it. Incompetence. Incompetence and arrogance. Oh, how delicious.
However, I still believe in the goodness of the human spirit. And while some leaders may exhibit these despicable qualities, I'm sure that our charming guests are far better leaders than this.
Are you sure, Gabby? Now, folks, you have a mirror nearby. It's not because I want you to admire your own beauty, although feel free, but because I'm going to invite you to look closely into that mirror and ask yourself how often you have thought or behaved in the ways I'm going to show you. Now, remember, the answers are anonymous, so I invite you to be brutally honest, which, of course, if you're all angels, as you seem to think you are, you will be honest. So, have fun admitting to all your own personal sins on this next Mentimeter slide. So if you're ready.
Credo un Deum Patrum omnipotentum, Dominum nostros conceptum.
Oh, come on, Gabby, quit the singing or the praying. I mean, guys, can you imagine you doing this to your boss or your boss doing this to you?
I'm just praying for positive results. Natus ex Maria Virgine, passus in Pontius Pilatus.
Shut up. Polish your halo, my friend. We seem to have no responses coming in for the minute. So just in case you hadn't answered, first of all, get a move on. But you're going to rank these behaviors on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being always, and 1 being never. So as I can see, ooh, isn't that delicious? Look at them. Look at them. Definitely, all these little angels are actually devils. Look at them. They're committing, these little 10 behaviors are actually the 10 sins you saw before.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm very
see how it's evolving. Yes. Mostly it's never. They never do these things. So I judge people who oppose me? Never? Come on. This is going Gabby's way in a way, but actually what I think is that you're all lying. You're all lying. Look at it. I judge people who oppose me.
Truthful. They are being truthful and honest. Get back down in the hole, you devil.
Well, I think I'm actually very right all along. These guys are all very smart. These girls are very smart.
People here for whom the promise of heaven is enough to be good.
Well, look at this. Now, I think a little quote from Machiavelli is in order, don't you think, Gabs? I mean,
not enough.
It's very simple, very quick. I even know it off by heart. It's just so short. The vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar.
You seek and can only see people who are like you, whereas these people are answering the call and the promise of the great heaven above us.
You wish. The promise of heaven, Gab? I mean, you sound like a used car salesman here. Yeah? So let's just realize something. Hell is the heaven right here before our eyes. A gleaming new Ferrari and dinner with the Kardashians.
Oh, Lucifer, you've had your day in court. We've spent enough time dealing with people's lower natures.
Well, I think you mean our true natures, don't you?
Good heavens, Beelzebub! Divine inspiration is available to us all. Think of the marvelous advancements that civilization has wrought.
You mean built on the backs of slave labor?
No, the glory that manifests in human ingenuity.
Ah, yes, nuclear weapons, air you can't breathe, water you can't drink, toxic fast food. Oh, and the coronavirus. Well, I think we're better off in hell.
For the good of all, think of how we have harnessed nature.
And created global warming. Even the fires of hell are not that deadly.
Now, Lucifer, we may not have found answers to all of life's challenges and conundrums, but let us remind ourselves of our remarkable ability to solve problems, great and small. Dear friends, let us silence the howls of this churlish god of all demons. I want to congratulate you for the knots you've untied, for the challenges and the problems you have overcome, and the solutions you've been a part of. What I want to know now is, how do you do it? So let's return to the cloud, to our online sharing tool, itself a marvel of human ingenuity and resourcefulness, and answer our next Mentimeter question. This is the one where you rank your answers from 1 to 5. And the question is, to work towards a solution, I choose to. Which are the things that you can choose to do? You can choose one, you can choose all. Manifest your glory now by answering these questions. I'm feeling good, Lucifer. I'm feeling like those answers are coming in. Oh, yes, keep them coming. Keep them coming. This is a slam dunk, Lucifer.
You wish. I mean, look at them.
Out here.
These are all little angels lying off their back teeth, as far as I can see.
That's all you can say. I think we should celebrate the positive actions of these people here. They play an integral part in every solution. They're not leaving things up to divine intervention. They are taking action themselves. They're playing a part in the solution.
Yeah, and every problem too.
And let's, besides their good actions, let's also laud their positive intentions of all the leaders we have here today.
Ah, good intentions. That's what I wanted to hear. Well done, Cabby. Now, all of you out there are saying you always do this, but we all know the English expression, don't we? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So tell me, everyone out there, quickly, when was the last time you had a good intention that created misery, frustration, suffering? Think back to your job as leader or manager of people, and let's share it with the world. So this is the slide, and we're going to give you some examples. It was my intention to, but the unintended result was.
Yes,
so
it was
my friend Gabby here, who's trying to interrupt me all the time, he's going to read the first part of the question, and I will read the second.
Yes, it was my intention, of course, to motivate my team.
And the result was widespread cynicism.
Oh, it was my intention to empower my team.
You wanted to empower your team? My gosh. And what was the result? They felt totally, what's the word, of disempowered?
Yes, my intention was to listen closely to the views of my team.
Yeah, and the result was that they felt I wasn't being decisive.
Oh, my intention was to define clear performance objectives.
And instead I was accused of being too controlling. So as you can see, these are just examples. Tanya is going to press S, and when she presses S, we're going to start to see some examples here of what you actually say. So let's have a look what's there.
Oh dear. Yes, and of course, the intention of asking this question is to serve the will of God.
Yeah, and how many crimes have been committed in God's name?
But how many more acts of grace have we in heaven inspired? While your intention, my horned foe, is always to create disruption and havoc.
Wrong again, my feathered friend. My intention is to give people their own voice, their own desires.
Oh dear. I see that intentions aren't always being fulfilled according to these examples here.
Well, look at this. I think I know what they want, and it's not. Ha ha ha! My intention was to train my team, and the result was that they felt overworked. Oh, isn't it wonderful?
Oh,
Look at those. Come on, let's see some more. It was my intention to make my team more effective, but the unintended result was people got mad because they didn't want to work more and better for the sake of the company. You see, people are fools, my friend. They're fools. You just got to tell them to do it. It was my intention to make a difference, but instead I discouraged my team. It's exactly what we were saying.
oh, you're having a field day here, Lucifer. A field day.
Absolutely. And in fact, why don't we come back to another little Machiavelli gem? Yes. I mean, clearly the moral of this tale is that you don't want to be nice. Yeah. You don't want to have good intentions towards people unless you absolutely have to, because otherwise they're going to take you for a ride. They'll abuse your generosity. If you want a solution for all, you need to push the fools in the right direction, whether they like it or not. After all, when did you ever get a say in what the board of directors decide? Now, Machiavelli again, great little friend of mine. Any man who tries to be good all the time is bound to come to ruin among the great number who are not good. Hence, a prince, the leader, who wants to keep his authority must learn how not to be good and use that knowledge or refrain from using it as necessity requires.
How not to be good, I know. I renounce that. You poor soul, Lucifer, clearly hell has not taught you the nature of good and evil. People are not evil. They just do evil things every now and then, and sometimes their intentions, their good intentions, turn bad. But God has given us this choice. If you lead others by doing evil things, they will never trust you. And the Almighty has ordained that leadership is the means by which His grace is made real, by which there can be solutions for many and for all.
Look around you, Gabs. I mean, look at where humanity is. How is it that most leaders get things wrong most of the time, and that the solution is nearly always for the tiny few, not the many?
Tell me this. Did Nelson Mandela get it wrong when he forgave the people who oppressed him and brought his nation together?
You're just playing devil's advocate here.
Oh, my God. I think I am.
You're absolutely right. You are, Gabs, for once, precisely. Every leader needs exactly that, a devil's advocate. Somebody who will question the leader's decisions, acknowledge their blind spots, and lead us all away from groupthink, echo chambers, and sycophants. Where would we be without a devil's advocate questioning outmoded views and approaches? Every leader, every one of you out there in cyberspace should be able to take on this role, to be my friend, my advocate, to be the devil's advocate.
Perhaps at times a devil's advocate can serve a holy purpose. I wonder if our guests will agree with us. Let us seek consensus. Dear congregation, our next question is...
So here it is, my friends. Rate how I exemplify the devil's advocate. So here we are. There are only 4 little phrases here, and you're going to say whether you never do them, always do them, or somewhere in between on a scale of 1 to 5. I speak my mind and say what others are afraid to say. I challenge leaders to explore the consequences of their intentions. I reject groupthink and question consensus. Do I point out the elephant in the room? So yes. Come on, guys. Good. I'm glad to see some people are responding relatively quickly. So here we are. It seems we have a few devil's advocates here.
The numbers are going down. I'm a little concerned.
Oh, yes. I reject groupthink and question consensus. Well, you see, the problem with a lot of angels is they just don't have, well, there's an expression in Spanish. I won't say it in English, neither in Spanish, but it basically means they're scared. Too scared.
making positive choices, although a lot of them are in the middle.
So some of them say they challenge the leaders to explore the consequences of their intentions. Good. So somebody's got some BALLS. I reject groupthink. Yeah, they're still way down there. I point out the elephant in the room. Oh dear. Well, if you don't point out the elephant in the room, you're going to get trampled, my friends. So let me explain to you something here. What does it take to be a devil's advocate? Let's think about this. First, it takes courage and conviction to follow your true heart and desires. In fact, that's where the word courage comes from, courage. Speaking your mind and saying what others are too weak to say or afraid to say. Put your cards on the table. Be assertive. Say no to authority. Say no to your boss. Be your own man. Be your own woman. Now, these are hellishly beautiful virtues.
Perhaps they are. You are, Lucifer, of course, a fallen angel, and we're ready to embrace you when you choose to return. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe we shouldn't call this a devil's advocate. The person who questions a bad decision, who calls out the elephant in the room, could be considered an angel working in the service of good.
Come on, sticking two fingers up to authority. Isn't that fun? How often do you see Gab and his fellow sycophants question their boss?
I'm not quite sure that that's the same thing, because, of course, my boss is infallible, Lucifer. What I would love to know from our wonderful congregation is the following. To be a part of the solution, what are you going to do?
Now, there's an interesting question.
So
what are you going to do?
Satan, I think I've come around to your way of thinking. There are times that I too can be a devil's advocate.
Ah, really? So would you like to join me on the beach with Madonna?
I think that's going a little bit too far. You playing the devil's advocate, you sneaky one.
Yeah, come on, Gabby. You know it's more fun to fight. So let's ring the bell for the final round. I'm ready to go for the knockout here. So we're going to battle for the souls of our guests this evening.
Well, my gentle wings cannot do battle with your devil's trident. However, I am happy to match wits with you.
So come on, dear guests. I invite you to follow my lead and reject the brutal boredom of heavenly conformity and do-goodiness. I'm inviting you to earn the right to sit with me in my fiery throne and make hell your heaven. Now, you can earn this trident by taking some simple steps in your leadership role that could create havoc and mischief in your organization. And the way we're going to do this is yet another question. Yes, you guessed. You're going to name them on the Mentimeter slide and join me in my realm, down to earth in the real world, where we can all enjoy the fruits of hell. So, what would you do to create hell in your organization? Think about this. And I don't mean in theory. What could you do this week to create hell in your team? And I want you to answer in 666 words in 66 seconds. And by the way, this is for the angels out there. That's a joke. So keep writing, my friends. Let's see what you have to say. How could you go and cause hell in your team?
I see no answers. I see no wishes to cause hell in their team.
So we do have some angels without any courage. Do you think maybe they haven't understood the question? Well, maybe. Oh, look, one's coming up, but I can't see it. It's halfway there.
Oh, here they come.
About others' failure. Ah, look, I'm glad to see the devils are coming out. Just say no. Absolutely. Question authority. Work like hell. Be disconsiderate. Talk about others' failures aloud by stating the obvious problem, i.e., point at the elephant in the room. Not work my projects anymore and blame others for it. That would be marvelous. Wow. You must call me afterwards, whoever wrote that one. Once they realize things haven't been done. Good. So you see, Gabs, there's plenty of examples here of people who would love to cause a bit of mayhem in their team.
Yes,
Now,
and
you see how easy it is?
I know. We all know that the path to sin is an easy one, but the path to virtue is a noble path.
Yeah, and judging by the results, I see it's not a very effective one.
Okay, my destructive friend, so much for your sad attempt to get our friends to describe new satanic rituals for the workplace. But don't think, just because people can name despicable actions, that they will carry them out. So, dear souls out there in virtual land, I am inviting you to ascend to sit beside me and the heavenly host, to put on your angel wings, and yes, to become divine.
Oh, dear me.
And our last question, from your exalted standpoint by my side, please answer this question. Think of a challenging problem in your team or your organization. What will you do tomorrow? What could you do tomorrow to be a part of the solution? And your answers are free. You can write any of the words that God has given you. We await your answers. And when we await, in anticipation, I shall sing. Amazing
Oh,
grace.
come on, Gabs. I mean, talk about being a namby-pamby sentimental fool. Why don't you play something a little bit more sexy while these poor angels find answers? Now, there we are. Now, there's something I like. Ah, get a bit of relax here. Sorry, Gabs, we can't hear you.
You can keep your hat on.
Well, I'm going to keep mine on. But there we are.
I see.
Look at the answers here.
They're streaming in positive answers. You are all in the process of passing the test. For you, I shall open the pearly gates and welcome you into heaven.
Oh, my dear. Well, you know what I said about good intentions, yeah? In any case, ladies, gentlemen, angels and demons out there, when you get bored of that, you'll always be welcome in my domain. So I expect to see you very soon in the very, very netherworld, where things get done, one way or another.
Dear friends, I wish to leave you with a thought today. And it is this, and I know you know this deep in your hearts and in your souls. Leadership should not be for the few. It should be for the many, for you and the people you will empower to sit beside you in your own leadership heaven, the leadership heaven you will create when you, time and time again, become part of the solution. Yes.
Have you finished, Gabs?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So, my angels, my dear angels and demons, I want to leave you with another thought before you go back to your angelic flights of fancy. Do you know what the word person actually means and comes from? Well, it comes from the Greek word meaning mask. The mask Greek actors wore in the theatre to project their persona. It's not the real you. And who do you think is behind that mask? Yes, you guessed right. Gabriel and me. That is the real you. There is no light without darkness.
And there is no darkness without light at the end of that dark tunnel. So, from the great gate in the sky.
And of course, the delicious fires down here below.
We bid you a fond farewell.
Farewell, angels and demons. Farewell. Now, okay, Gabs. Well, all that's over. Shall we grab a beer?
I suppose one won't hurt.
Well, I got a really special beer for you here. In fact, I thought I'd show it to you. It's brewed specially down here for us. Yeah?
You're branding again there. Well, pass it over.
Well, I'm going to try and pass it over. So here we are. I'm not going to give you too much.
Oh, yes. And look, a miracle. I have turned your beer into wine, as we are wont to do. So I toast to virtue.
Tobias, see you very soon.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I think it was really interesting. I think Lucifer and Gabriel were just the best. And well, we're hoping to receive all of your questions. So remember, you have your question box on the command center on your right or left. So please start writing all of the questions that you have for Robert and for Jack there, and we will start the info set about the Q&A just in a little bit. So.
And I have returned. I think I might have halo hair.
Hello, how are you guys? Thank you so much for a very interesting session. I actually, before starting the Q&A, I want to share with you something that they wrote to us. Lauren sent us a message that says, this session is so crazy and fun. So thank you. I think everyone is really enjoying it. Yeah.
Good. Well, we're going to have to see if there are any questions, or have we just left them without questions?
I think you just left them amazed, because I'm still asking them to actually write down all of the questions. And well, I have the first one. Okay, for someone not used to speak up his mind, how can he train to do so, and also to talk more assertively?
Oh, there's a good question, Jack. All yours.
So thank you so much for that question. And I think it often feels really threatening to speak our minds. And I suppose one thing you can do to get more comfortable with that is to ask permission. Is to just say, hey, listen, I've got this thought in my head. I'd like to share it with you. You know what? I'm a little concerned that it's going against what some other people are saying, but would you like to hear it? So that's just one way of getting kind of a little bit of affirmation ahead of time. And to encourage yourself to think, hey, that people actually really do want to hear what I have to say. The other thing I would like to say to that is just try it. Try it in small ways, try it in big ways, and see if disaster actually happens. Because normally, I think most of the time we worry about things. You know, what do they say? 90% of the things that we worry about don't actually happen. So it's more than likely that you may be making assumptions about the consequences that will happen if you speak your mind. And to just try it. And just one more thing, set yourself a goal. You know, I'm going to speak my mind in the next meeting, or 2 out of the 3 next meetings, or 5 times this week, and keep a diary of the times that you did it and the consequences of that. And just to acknowledge and also to acknowledge that that you're extending your comfort zone, you're stepping outside that, and that's a part of your natural growth journey.
Yeah, well, I would add only one thing, because I'd agree with everything Jack said. Well, maybe a couple of things. I mean, obviously, the way you say your mind obviously has an impact. And there is a big difference between being assertive and being aggressive. So when you want to speak your mind, think about how you're going to say it, which is just as important as what you say. The other thing I would say is, if you're trying to think about, well, you know, I find it really difficult to say what I really feel, is think about what happens if you don't. Most of the time, a lot of the problems we have is because we don't express what our needs are, what our interests are, what we really need. And if we don't express those needs, don't be surprised if you don't solve the problems that you have. So there's also a part of necessity. But as Jack has just outlined, there are some tools there for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we have a question from Alan, who asks, how do we deal with truly aggressive behavior from a leader?
Okay, Robert, do you want that one, or do you want me to take a shot at that?
Let me just say, was the question what?
How do we deal with truly aggressive behavior from a leader?
From a leader.
Well, it depends if you're asking Lucifer or Gabriel.
let me just start off with this, because first of all, the first thing I can advise you is don't take it personally, right? It's much more about them than it is about you. So a lot of times when someone's very aggressive to us, we kind of take it on, and either we go into like a victim mode, or we think that we have somehow caused that. So one thing I do when I'm confronted with a really aggressive person, I say to myself, do you know what? Your anger and your aggression, I'm going to leave with you. I'm not going to take that on. The other thing, there's some fabulous practices to address this. One of my favorites is nonviolent communication. So let's say if someone's being aggressive towards me using a loud voice, I might say something like this. I'm just going to make an observation. So I notice that you're speaking to me with a loud voice. Do you know what? The next step is you share what you're feeling. So I'm feeling quite anxious when I hear you speak to me with a loud voice. And then you express your need. I need to know that I can have a reasonable, calm discussion with you. Therefore, I'm just going to ask you to lower your voice. So it's a very simple 4-step process. You start with an observation, you share what you're feeling, you talk about what you need, and you make a request to fulfill this need. Very, very simple practice. By the way, if you're looking for nonviolent communication, you can find tools online. Very, very simple practice to embed and use, and it really, really good. It can be very good in dealing with a very aggressive person.
Yeah. Well, I'd only add one thing, because I think the tools are there, and this idea of actually observing is a very important one. There are lots of ways to do this. The way I do this, because it's not easy when you're confronted with someone who's aggressive and your initial reaction is to be emotionally hurt or aggressive, whatever it is, you react. So part of the reason that I enjoy doing yoga, but it's a discipline, is that it allows me also to, as Jack said, realize that this is not about me, it's about the other person. And so I sort of either take a deep breath, and sometimes it's literally a deep breath, or it's psychologically, mentally a deep breath, to remind myself that it's the other person that's shouting at me. And that if I shout back, sometimes you need to let it out, but most of the time you're going to end up back in the same situation that you were. So following the tools that Jack's just give you, I start by just stop, look, and realize that it's the other person, and then express that that person's behavior is perhaps affecting you badly. Okay, but do it calmly.
Thank you. Now I have a comment and a question. Hi, my name is Francisco. I really enjoyed the webinar. My question is, how can I influence a boss who doesn't listen?
Great question.
Yeah, good question.
Right. Robert, do you want to take a shot at that, or?
Yeah, I would. So if you have a boss who doesn't listen, I'm assuming by what you mean by that is that even if you say to that person that whatever it is you need, what your interests are, they're not listening. And I don't know whether that, in your particular example, is because they're too busy, they're running around. Sometimes for me, to get somebody to listen is to be a little bit more strategic about how you approach them. So sometimes you can think about, where can I talk to my boss in a situation, and literally sometimes it's the physical space, yeah, where you effectively corner them and express your need to say to your boss, I need to talk to you and I need to say this, and I would like you to listen. Okay, so that is an assertive approach. But if somebody is always hearing you but not listening, to me that was an approach that I would take. Jack, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I just like to offer the idea of reciprocation. So if you were to say to this person, if I was you and I was speaking to this person, I'd say, hey, listen, I'd really like to listen to everything you have to say about topic X. And because I'm really curious to hear your views on it. And do you know what? I'd also like to be able to share with you my views as well. And if you start by listening to that person, really listening, and maybe asking questions and spending a little bit of time of discovery, the human being's natural response is to reciprocate. It's like, you've listened to me, and now they sort of owe you that listening. And as I said, if you set it up as like, I'd really like to hear from you, and I'd really like also you to hear what I have to say. And I'm also going to check in with you. I'd like to check in with you on what you've heard that I've said, and how it connects to what you've said as well. So that's kind of a way of forcing them to actually listen, because they're going to have to kind of feed back to you what they've heard.
Perfect. Now we have our last question is from Laurent, and he asks, how much of nice is too nice? For what type of circumstances will it be best to drop your nice aside and show some kind of aggressivity, but again, not too much? So
that's a great question.
Yeah, it's an amazing question.
How much nice is too nice?
Nice is too nice.
Exactly. Oh, how much nice?
How much nice is too nice? And when do you have to be aggressive, but not too aggressive? Yeah.
Okay, can I start off with this one? So, okay.
Do I have an option here, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, I'll leave plenty of room for you. So the question is I think that maybe the question underneath this is, are you being nice authentically, or are you being nice to be nice? Yeah. So this is the question. So I would say, how much nice is too nice? Too nice is when you're not feeling nice, or you have something that maybe shouldn't be communicated in a nice way, something that could be communicated in an assertive way. So, sometimes you have to shout. Now, I'll give you an example. I have 2 children. If I invite them down to dinner in a nice way, they will not show up. If I say, boys, it's time for dinner, they don't come. If I say, boys, I told you one more time. If I say, boys, it's dinner time, come down now, guess what? They come. So sometimes nice cannot get a result. Sometimes nice is not taken on as important enough. So I guess I would say to you, I would be nice when it strategically makes sense to be nice, and when it's authentic. When it's not authentic, if you're just putting on nice, well, then there's a bit of betrayal there. And also, if nice doesn't serve, if you're putting out a fire, it's not appropriate to be polite. It's like, get out of the house. You're not like, would you guys mind please stepping out of the house? It's just not appropriate. So I think it's just, as I said, be nice where it works and where it's effective, and then throw it out the rest of the time. What do you think, Robert?
You've left a huge amount of room here, Gab. So, well, I just remind the person who sent the question that, again, there is a difference between assertiveness and aggressivity. So yes, I agree with everything Jack has said, which is, when you're nice, you're nice. If you pretend to be nice, people are gonna feel that straight away. They're basically, what we played out in this thing was the sort of, not Machiavellic, but the sort of doing something nice, but actually your intention isn't nice. So, but being assertive is not about being aggressive. It is saying that I need something, or that I have a real interest here in for something to happen. And so there are situations where that assertivity, like Jack was using the example with his children, that it's no longer a question of just saying, would you like to come to have dinner? It's, dinner's on the table, we're having it now, yeah? And I want you to come down now. They can still say no, but you haven't said anything to them that is aggressive. You haven't said anything that they can turn around, you're not being nice, other than being your dad and saying you're a pain in the neck. And why should I come down just because you want me to? And yeah, that can lead to more discussion. But sometimes, as Lucifer was saying, yeah, we were talking about the devil's advocate, is that there are times when you need to express your feelings, but I would say assertively more than aggressively. I don't know if that's answered our friend's question here.
And I think maybe, again, think about where you want to be nice and what would nice be. And one more thing I was going to say is that if you are naturally a nice person, if the people around you describe you as a nice person, you can say, you know what, I am a nice person. Do you know what? A lot of people who are nice people, they fear that if they're not nice, somehow they stop being a nice person, that they lose their identity. And if you are generally a nice person, you can do things that are not nice and still be perceived as nice. You don't become a horrible person. You don't become an angry person. You don't become an aggressive person. You don't become an assertive person, but you're just choosing to use those behaviors in the moment because they're most effective. And people will still be able to see that core of niceness that you will never lose. And anyone asking a question, I'm guessing, has that core of niceness.
For sure.
Cool. We have time for another question there, Tanya?
I think we're out of time and questions.
Got a
I
couple
think
of
we
minutes.
resolved everyone, and everyone is it's just really happy with the result. And I just want to thank you guys for this amazing experience, this great presentation. We really enjoyed it, and I think we all learned a lot from this. So thank you, Jack. Thank you, Robert. I hope we get to do this again really soon because it was really fun and it was really interesting. And I just want to wish you a really nice night, everyone. Thank you for being part of the ESCP webinar series, and I hope to see you real soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have
See
a
you
great
next time.
day.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.